right, y'all, today's video, we're talking Blaine, Minnesota. And if you've been watching this channel, you know that this is definitely a good sign. I'm right on the southern border, and this quick trip is one of many, which if you watch this channel, you know that's a good thing. All right, let's dive in. How's it going, my friends? My name is Jesse Lynch, and I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called To The Twin Cities. You can check out our website, tothetwincities.com. But this YouTube channel that you are currently watching, it's all about helping you find a place to call home, a place to land here in the beautiful Twin Cities of Minnesota. And that's whether you're buying a house for the first time, maybe again, maybe you're stepping up, you're looking for another neighborhood that has the things that you're looking for, or maybe you're moving here from a different city, state, country, planet, dimension, realm, whatever it is. First-time home buyers, step-up buyers, any kind of home purchase, that's what this YouTube channel is here as a resource for. So if any of that appeals to you, then do me a favor, do yourself a favor, subscribe to this channel, and click that little bell to get notified every time we put a video out just like this. And as always, if you wouldn't mind, give this video a thumbs up, say what's up in the comments. I'm cold, so if you can say, hey, maybe wear like a real coat in the comments, I'd appreciate that. It's helpful. And if you happen to be a home seller or the child of a home seller or anything like that, if you already own a home here in the Twin Cities and you're looking for the best way to market that home, we would love to help. We do home tours on this channel. It gets exposed to a lot of people who are looking to buy in the Twin Cities. So as always, whether you're buying, selling, investing, reach out to us and we would love to help. And you can do that by going to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less, or you can just shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com. However you want to do it, totally up to you. For this video, I'm meeting up with Nick and we're talking all things Blaine. This neighborhood is known as the Lakes of Blaine. It is a very nice neighborhood. Probably as luxurious a neighborhood as it gets in Blaine. And there's some beautiful homes. There's some really great like water elements, like the name implies. But it is really a lovely neighborhood. Newer built homes in the last 20 years. Some very cool topography, wooded areas, of course, the water as well. I'm excited to show you Blaine. I should have shot this a long time ago, but hey, here we are. Thank you for watching. Let's go. All right, friends, right now we are at Blaine
Wetlands Sanctuary.
Yeah, Blaine Wetlands Sanctuary. Right back here, you might be able to hear it in the background, is Lexington Avenue. And we are very much on kind of the eastern edge, or close to the eastern edge of Blaine. Blaine is a very large suburb. If you might have heard me talking about this on our live shows. I'm frankly slightly embarrassed that we haven't done a virtual tour of Blaine yet.
Highly requested. Highly requested, and also just like so large and has a lot of benefits and a lot of things that people that we're helping are looking for. Actually, yeah, very much requested by clients whom we are actively helping.
Yeah, you know,
just the other week for me.
Yeah, which, hey, by the way, this is Nick Host. Nick is on the team.
What's up, y'all?
You probably know that by now. If you want to work directly with Nick, get a hold of him. You can reach out, just shoot him an email at nick@tothetwincities.com. We're doing that now. If you want to work directly with him, do that. If you want to work generally with the team, reach out to info@tothetwincities.com.
So a little bit about the park that we're at right now. It's a beautiful space. We'll maybe be able to turn around and give you a view of it, but this specific park is 500 acres of trails,
boardwalks and open space. It's quite beautiful. We were just remarking on that.
It goes on and on. Like, let me real quick, just this, it just goes on kind of forever. We're very much at the entrance of it, but you can see like very nice newer built homes in the background, but kind of on either side this way, you can't see any homes at all.
Even in the winter when the trees are bare, it's still pretty private feeling.
Yeah, and feels just very nice.
Yeah, we saw a couple of people walking dogs out here, so there's plenty of space like that up here.
Yeah, Blaine has a lot of parks, 66 parks actually, and just hundreds of miles of trails. There is Happy Acres Park, Lexington Athletic Complex, there's like a baseball complex, Lakeside Common Parks, Lakeside Commons Park. It is just, again, it's very large. It's wooded at times. Yeah. Blaine has a lot going for it.
One of the things that I love personally about Blaine, having spent a good amount of time up here, I've helped probably 10 plus sets of clients move up here for various different reasons, but it's a very complete suburb. Not only do you have all these park spaces that we're talking about, but you've just in general got any commercial amenity that you could really hope for.
And then some.
And then some. And we'll touch on this more later as well, but there's a really wide variety of housing stock to choose from up here. So a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, and specifically new, a lot of new builds. We'll talk about that though. Blaine, again, very large. It's a northern suburb. You know, it's basically due north of Minneapolis. You're about 30 minutes or so from the airport, 20 minutes to downtown Minneapolis, and about 20 minutes to downtown St. Paul as well, depending on where you are.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
20 minutes as opposed to some of our, you know, the Eden Prairie, Apple Valley, which are going to be more like
30.
25, 30 on a good day. So actually more accessible even.
Yeah, absolutely. And partly, you know, as you get to the north, it starts to feel a little more wooded, a little more up north, you know, up north, cabin land kind of vibe.
But certainly different than when you start heading south of the metro and it's more prairie feeling.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's, again, a large chunk of land for one. I think this park is probably the same size as, I don't know, some of the neighborhoods that we've done lives on lately.
Huge.
Yeah.
Morningside would fit in here a couple of times over.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. But population here is 67,000, so pretty sizable, 12th largest in the state.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And you know, it feels as such. The fact that it's this big and still has, you know, still has so much room to grow. Still new builds coming in.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Oh, galore.
Yeah. You know, you think about like a Bloomington or like an Egan or something like that, which maybe this is closer to like an Egan, but not much new builds. There's not much room left to build.
No.
You know, whereas I do think here in Blaine, there's just still a lot of space, you know?
Yeah, oh, much more space.
As you can hear right now, maybe, there is a small municipal airport nearby. You'll see a lot of these little, like, kind of adorable, like, couple-seater planes.
Yeah, we call them puddle jumpers.
Yeah, puddle jumpers. And, you know, nothing disruptive at all. You're far enough away from the airport that you will not, you know, the main MSP airport, that you will never really see any kind of, or hear any kind of airport noise from that.
A lot more Learjets and propeller planes.
Yeah, little
So you're
stuff.
not getting the screaming jet engines.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I'm gonna come down here, maybe cut down on some of the foot noise, and also make Nick look taller.
This will be the only time I'm at your head level.
Honestly, Nick is a pretty tall dude. I'm just a kind of wildly tall dude. Schools here. Okay, schools in Blaine are generally quite good. Not elite, not like top 5, top 10, but not that far off from a top 10 kind of a situation. Specifically, it's actually served by 3 school districts. Centennial Public School District, which as a whole gets a B+, Anoka Hennepin Public School District also gets a B+, and Spring Lake Park Public Schools, which gets a B. All generally quite good. I'll dive into the specifics of some of the schools now. A couple quick stats about the different school districts that serve. The Centennial School District is ranked the 45th best school district in all of Minnesota. The Anoka-Hennepin School District is ranked 15th best school district for athletes in Minnesota, and the Spring Lake Park Public Schools is ranked 23rd most diverse school district in Minnesota. Specifically high schools, there's 3 main high schools to speak of. Blaine High School, that gets an A-, Centennial High School, that gets an A-, and Spring Lake Park Senior High School gets a B+. So what you're really gonna find is pretty much all throughout Blaine, with maybe a couple exceptions, but I actually don't know of any, you're mostly gonna see B and higher, right? So middle schools, you have Roosevelt Middle School, highest grade, A-, that's part of that Anoka-Hennepin School District. You have Northdale Middle School, that gets a B+, also part of Anoka-Hennepin. Then, I mean, again, you keep doing pretty well here. You have Centennial Middle School, part of Centennial, gets a B+. Westwood Middle School gets a B-, and that's part of Spring Lake Park. That trend continues throughout elementary schools as well, which is fundamentally the Centennial and the Anoka-Hennepin schools are going to be pretty comparable to each other, both pretty high ratings, trading maybe back and forth occasionally between A-, B+, and then the Spring Lake Park School is almost always just slightly below, at the same level or slightly below what the other two have to offer. But all in all, quite good schools throughout Blaine. And then one last thing on schools, if I can sum up approximately whereabouts these districts serve within Blaine, since there's 3, to the southeast, more or less, is the Centennial School District. To the northwest is the Anoka-Hennepin School District, and that is a pretty good chunk of the schools served by Blaine. Also, a lot of the newer build stuff is going to be in that area. And then the kind of older housing stock is going to be in sort of the southwest portion, which is going to be served by that Spring Lake Park Public Schools.
And so closer to Anoka itself.
Yep, absolutely.
Which makes sense.
It does, right?
One of the older towns here in Minnesota.
Yeah, the older parts are going to be
river towns.
Yeah.
They're older.
Yep, absolutely.
So with that said, similar to a lot of areas of the Twin Cities Metro, the rating of the schools is kind of going to follow the cost of the housing stock. So the southwestern portion of the city is going to be a little bit of the older style, maybe starting in the 60s, maybe up to the 1980s, and moving kind of northeast to where we're at now, where you're going to start seeing a plethora of new builds. I drove in off of, I believe it was 109th, and there is just so much new construction going on of many different varieties. So that is all to say, there is a wide variety of lifestyle and housing stock here for everyone, which is one of the reasons why many of my clients have found this area attractive. It kind of poses itself as one of the fewer remaining areas within the metro where you can get really strong school ratings and also still have a substantial amount of house for a good price. The affordability is awesome. The current median house price up here is, I want to say, $390,000.
Yep.
Is that across all property types or just single family?
All property types.
So also keep in mind that that is being offset, like a lot of our kind of third ring areas, by the new builds that are, you know, pushing up that 500, 600 plus price point. I know for a fact, personally, in the work that I do, that there's still plenty of homes that are in that 350, give or take, 3-bed, 2-bed, 4, 2-bed. You know, you're getting a garage and a good sized yard. For under 400,000 with good schools, that's becoming increasingly harder to find. You know, even in the south and in the west metro, even parts of the east metro. So I'm bullish on the north.
Yeah, I think this is one of those areas where median sale price isn't that helpful of a metric.
It's not.
It's big, and it's going to vary, you know, dramatically.
The outliers regarding new construction really skew it.
Yeah, and it's just a huge range, you know. Yeah, like you said, 350, probably pushing up to $1 million. You know, there's some beautiful, epic homes here, and I mean, just the folks that you've helped have kind of run the gamut, right? Of like just starter home, just like eking into starter home, to you know, step up to, you know, even some pretty nice properties. Some pretty, like, you know, something to write home about. And a couple more stats while the sun's out, which I am not mad at. Yeah, that feels fantastic.
I feel like a house cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give it to me.
A couple more stats that I think are interesting. Over the last decade, we've seen 17.4% growth.
Wow.
Pretty impressive, especially for somewhere that's 20 minutes from both downtowns. Most of that growth you'll see on the edges of the metro.
That's over the last 10 years?
Yeah.
That's almost 2% annually, just shy.
That's pretty wild. So there's that, and then there's also, you know, the stat that I think is always just kind of interesting. 86% of the folks who live here in Blaine own the home they live in, 14% rent. It definitely feels that way, and yeah, you know, I would say that most of the rentals are gonna be further south. The further north you get, the more, you know, new build, the more single family home.
They're just over across 109th here. They just built one of those kind of newer megaplex like rental complexes, and I think there's some newer kind of 55 plus communities coming up over here as well.
Yeah.
Some of that older rental inventory is going to be your brick 1970s 8 to 12 plex type thing, closer down to Anoka.
Yeah, which, but actually that makes me think pros and cons. We're gonna talk through pros and cons right after this. All right, y'all, now we are in basically a brand new development. It's called the Mills Pond development. Really a very nice neighborhood, a new build neighborhood, a classic looking new build neighborhood.
Yeah, context, there are parade homes here.
Yeah, which for those of you who don't know Parade of Homes is a, you know, like an exhibit, a showing off of mostly very nice homes.
It's a new builder showcase.
Yes.
Tour.
Yeah, and remodeler showcase as well. But yeah, we will probably walk by one or two as we're talking. But we want to talk through the pros and cons of the Blaine area. This Mills Pond neighborhood is literally like as far northeast as you get before entering a different suburb. And yeah, seems like a good place to start. The homes here, you know, ranging, I don't know.
This neighborhood?
Yeah.
5 to 900.
5 to 900.
That's what one of the listings said.
And you'll see that one thing I like, you know, these houses to our left is they have kind of a wooded backyard. I don't know if you can see through there. That's sweet. A lot of people are want that. Whether or not they can afford it is a different question. Whereas yeah, this one has a little bit more of like a community, almost like
backyard.
Yeah, courtyard backyard.
I will add, this would be one of the neighborhoods we deem trick-or-treatable.
Quite trick-or-treatable. Yeah, in a very new buildy kind of way, you know. Most of, if not all, the homes that you're seeing here are Eternity Homes as the builder, and looks like they're doing a very nice job. These are definitely very nice homes.
Yeah.
But so anyhow, we're gonna talk through pros and cons of Blaine. I'll start with a pro. I think there's a really great amount of outdoor spaces, and not just a good amount, but really nicely done outdoor spaces.
Mm-hmm. Like we mentioned earlier, there are 66 different parks and hundreds of miles of trails, so very walkable from that standpoint. Same thing with the neighborhood we're in now. People ask about that all the time. They want walkability. Blaine as a whole has great leisurely walkability. Strollability. You're not gonna walk to get your groceries or coffee, by and large. That's not to say that you couldn't end up in a spot where that's doable, but yeah, it's a really great spot. Also, fun little tidbit, TPC Twin Cities finds itself in Blaine. It's a PGA Tour golf course that hosts the 3M Open annually. So if you're a golf fan, something to get excited about.
And I don't know anything about golf, but it also has a lot of just like sports structures, right? Amazing golf course, has like a well-known hockey stadium's the wrong word.
Arena.
Arena.
Rink,
Thank
yeah.
you. As well as like, you know, the really great baseball diamond.
We were right
baseball
across
complex.
from the Lexington Athletic Center earlier.
Yep.
Which
So-
is quite large.
Yeah, I think sports are a priority. I think I said earlier, one of the school districts is ranked 15th best for athletes in Minnesota. I feel like you always see Blaine.
You might hear more about that from Alex on one of our lives in the future.
Indeed you will. Okay, another pro I would say is that, I mean, you just have all of the suburban amenities. It's bordering on like ultimate suburb kind of range, you know?
With a different feel, like we mentioned again, than the likes of Woodbury, Apple Valley, Eden Prairie. I don't know. It houses everything similarly in regards to amenities, but the feel is much different.
It's not bougie.
No,
it's not. Whereas like a Woodbury, getting a little bougie. Egan has some bouginess to it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the neighborhood that we're in right now is
Nice.
really nice new construction neighborhood, but to my point earlier as well, I mean, Blaine is really your working person suburb in a great way.
Yep, and obviously, you know, some people might be like, cool, you said it goes up to 900. That's not really like a blue collar. But nonetheless, it doesn't have the bouginess. It doesn't have like the high society feeling that maybe some of these other places, like a Maple Grove, like
it's very neighborly.
Yeah, and
I found that in working with my clients too, when we're out doing walkthroughs and stuff like that, the neighbors are coming over to say hi and introduce themselves before we've closed. So it's very much that type of vibe.
And that is nothing but a good thing as far as we are concerned, as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Another pro, good schools. Not you know, elite, but good schools.
Solid. You're gonna have a solid public education here.
Mm-hmm. And pretty much across the board, it's gonna be pretty good.
One of the things that I love about Blaine as well, and we've kind of hinted at it with the wooded areas that are all throughout, despite the fact that there's a ton of new construction, it's really quiet out here. Mm-hmm. These developments aren't necessarily on top of each other. I mean, when you get into these developments, as you can see behind us, I mean, there's certainly density. A lot of these houses have really great deep lots, but the setback from the neighbors is not massive.
Yeah.
But it's nice and quiet up here. You do have the airport to the south, but again, it's nothing of the likes of MSP.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, we're gonna call that a con, the fact that there's the airport, but it's not like Delta is landing here. It's like little planes, the occasional jet, but like I haven't heard one, you know?
It could almost be a con in the sense too that you have to drive all the way to MSP to catch a flight out of the state.
That, yeah,
But
you're
you're
half
splitting hairs.
hour. Totally. Another pro is like the very diverse housing stock, right? We mentioned it before, but ranges from 1960 to brand new, maybe even a little bit older than that. I'm gonna tack this on here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's fiber internet. So I guess that's a pro for at least this area.
For those work at home folks, because we are a little bit further out.
Yeah, which more and more, it's like that fiber internet is a thing people are looking for.
Yeah, especially outside of the urban core and first ring suburbs.
Yeah. So you also, that diversity in the housing stock, the big range of prices. Again, 300,000 up to $1 million, up to really 1.2 million. That's great to see, and I think that means that this video can apply to a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Man, that wind, huh? Not too shabby.
Thank goodness for the sun.
I think we'll say another pro kind of tied into that is the new build. You know, the amount of new builds. The reason that I think it's on a lot of people's radar is we're seeing new builds 20 minutes to downtown for not crazy prices.
Yeah, we're having more folks reach out to us about new builds, due in part to the fact that existing construction inventory remains limited.
Yep.
So more and more people are starting to entertain those options. And there are still houses that are relatively affordable, especially as it relates to new construction. There are certain places that you can get in for that $450 to $500, which again, it is a little pricey, but where new construction is concerned, not too shabby.
Yeah, I think the last pro I'll say is that you have very good access to both downtowns, right? 20-ish minutes to both downtowns. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's kind of like Egan or Apple Valley, you know, range to the downtowns.
Yeah, 35W especially almost splits them down the middle.
Yeah.
And then once you get to Roseville, you either take 36 or, you know, continue down into Minneapolis.
Right, and you also have really good access to up north. You're already half the way there.
Yeah.
You know, so if you
Exactly.
if you're pining after sort of the cabin lifestyle, Blaine's a great spot to
Taylor
start.
Falls a day trip.
Yeah. Oh, easy
Easily.
peasy.
Apple River.
Yeah.
Not far.
I mean, Mora. We have a cabin in Mora. You're right around an hour.
Yeah.
To Mora from here, and it's great. I think we're making a dog mad. Sorry,
There's
bud.
a dog that is not happy about it right now.
Yeah, we'll keep walking.
We'll-
First con, I'm gonna say, has something to do with kind of the access, is that Highway 65, aka Central, it's Central when it's in Minneapolis, is like right down the middle, and which is, you know, it's a highway, but it's like a 4-lane highway, not, you know, with
Stoplights
exits.
every mile,
Yeah.
quarter mile. It's not like 35 where it's an interstate highway.
Yeah, it's just kind of an annoying highway, to be honest. It's a little bit unsightly at times.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of you know, it's going to lead to noise. As we're driving up and back to this cabin that we're working on, it's not my favorite highway to drive on either.
No.
That could be just a gripe because I'm dealing with it. But, you know, it's some of it's kind of unsightly on the highway. But obviously, here we're very far away from 65. There's not even you know, the notion of 65 over here.
We'll probably be jumping on 35W
Yeah.
to head back down to the cities.
Totally, but you know, a lot of like the conveniences are going to be along 65, like the Target and Menards and I don't know, all sorts of stuff like that.
Right.
So that's con number 1. Although we also already said kind of con number 2, which is the airplane noise.
Minimal.
I mean, that is nitpicking. I would say that's for the most noise sensitive folks out there. This is about as minimal airport noise as you will get anywhere.
Yeah, there's all these houses just back up to, you know, not another development. Mostly, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking out loud.
Yeah.
Another con that I'll sauce on, and we mention this a lot of times when we get out to these third ring. This is third ring, if not fourth ring. I mean, we're, for all intents and purposes, we're on the periphery of the metro. You will get those echoes of a rural past.
Yes.
And for those who are patrons of the channel, you will know what we're talking about.
It's you know, it used to be a small town.
Yeah, farmland, really. And there still is farmland. Where do you think these developments are coming from?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and so, you know, some of the commercial areas are just kind of like, rinky-dink. Like, they're just, like, not that nice. A lot of the stuff built in, like, the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Starting to age.
Personally, I just don't like the commercial stuff built during that time, and so it looks quite dated. Whereas, you know, stuff built in the early 1900s is charming. That stuff, not charming. You know, the strip malls of the 60s and 70s, just no longer charming. So,
Yeah.
you know,
If they ever were.
yeah, I wonder. So,
Depends on who you ask.
yeah, another con is that neighborhoods like this, again, we said a lot of new builds going on, and a lot of these newer neighborhoods, you know, post 2000, are going to come with an HOA. The HOA fee, it's hardly fair to call that a con. It's cheap. It's like this neighborhood, you're talking like low 200s annually. So,
Which is for management and maintenance of the roads, really.
yeah, mostly road maintenance,
Sidewalks.
But I think very often that is a con. It's really a pro disguised as a con. There are some negatives to an HOA.
Yeah, it really
For
depends
sure.
on the covenants and the bylaws and everything like that.
But yeah, but mostly what it's going to mean is your neighborhood is going to stay looking nice,
Yeah,
you know?
and somewhat homogeneous from a building material standpoint. For example, if you were to put up a fence, they might limit you to vinyl or wrought iron, something like that.
Let's turn around. This
Yeah.
wind is unreal.
And I'll add also, if they did allow chain link, it would probably be black chain link at best. A lot of these neighborhoods are just not about that.
Yeah, I see a wrought iron over there.
Yeah, wrought iron's the most common. It just kind of maintains the feel, the aesthetic of the neighborhood.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. And I think, you know, like, lastly, is basically like in the homogeneous, you know, nature that you're talking about. Not only are the neighborhoods maybe a little bit cookie cutter, but the commercial stuff is too.
Yeah.
It's just kind of corporate commercial stuff. The occasional, you know, cool spot, the occasional hip spot, the occasional like independently owned, you know, business. Actually along 65 there's some, but a lot of them are just like you know, like a welding shop or stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think that's what we have for pros and cons. I hope that's helpful. We're gonna head over, I think, to more on the western side, and we're gonna talk through, for fans of, other spots to consider if you like what you see here in Blaine. All right, y'all, right now we are in an interesting spot of Blaine. Right over here, maybe you can see the dome in the background, is the National Sports Center / Super Rink. Also, all the snow immediately surrounding us is soccer fields.
You can actually see the field numbers on the signs.
Yeah, maybe you can see them in the background, but like there's a ton. I mean, at least 24 soccer fields.
There's a 31 over there.
Right, okay, let's call it 31. But a massive amount of land dedicated to soccer, and that dome, that whole situation over there is like a sports complex. But we want to talk through the for fans of. Before we do that, I would just like to say, if you have any interest in working with us, get a hold of us and we will crush it for you. You can go to our website, tothetwincities.com. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in like 30 seconds or less. Or you can shoot us an email directly to info@tothetwincities.com, or you can shoot Nick an email directly at nick@tothetwincities.com. However you want to do it, totally cool with me. You won't hurt my feelings if you reach out directly to Nick, because I team up with Nick on tons and tons of clients, and he crushes it. So you will not be sorry that you did. Okay, let's talk about it. For fans of, what do you got? A couple places that feel like Blaine, or maybe at least feel like a cousin of Blaine.
Andover,
Okay.
I would say. Ramsey to the west. Very similar feel, being on the periphery of the metro here.
A little bit rural, a little bit kind of like open and like yeah, a spacious feeling.
Yeah, and they're adjacent. I would say that you're gonna have more of the commercial stuff in Blaine. So if you live in any of those areas, you probably come here a lot. But they very similar feel from a landscape and housing standpoint.
Yeah, a lot of newer builds, but then still some like 60s, 70s, 80s stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ramsey, yeah, super similar. I think Hugo and Centerville are similar feeling, smaller, definitely not quite as like, you know, mega suburb.
Even more wooded as well.
Yeah, more wooded, more, I don't know, chill, I guess.
Very quiet.
Yeah, but similar sort of like housing stock, and frankly, some of your conveniences are probably going to be in Blaine if you're living there.
Yeah, or Forest Lake.
yeah, maybe Forest Lake for sure. I think another good one on the northern end is St. Michael and Albertville. We've got a friend looking there right now, and we've done videos on both those spots as well. Definitely has kind of the, you know, rural, now turned suburb, newer housing stock that you're seeing here in Blaine.
Great schools.
Yeah, great schools, very good schools. Maybe not quite as suburban in terms of amenities, but they do have a lot though.
Rogers is nearby.
Yeah, true, Rogers. Rogers is probably another really good for fans of.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar.
Especially in terms of size.
And amenities and stuff like that.
There's Cabela's and Rogers.
True, love a Cabela's. That's where I got these glasses actually, Cabela's and Rogers. And then there's also Lakeville to like due south of the metro, almost the exact opposite end of the metro from Blaine.
Yep.
Kind of the mirror image of Blaine. Maybe a little like a little more high end. The schools are going to be rated a little bit higher, but not tremendously higher. Similar lifestyle in general. And then I think last but not least is Cottage Grove. Cottage Grove is just to the south of Woodbury, and a lot of new builds going on there. Really great park space. We have a video on this channel of a new build from Stonegate Builders in Cottage Grove. So if you're curious what that's all about, check that video out. And right over here, this road isn't much to speak of, but right over here is like one of the suburban cores of Blaine. So much stuff, a huge Target.
And this cool spot, Bricks.
Yeah.
Shout out Bricks.
Bricks Kitchen and Pub. That's like
one of the more less chainy type places.
Yeah, there's not that much of that here. It's very chain centric, and it's nice to see, you know, something unique, something maybe independently owned.
Invictus Brewing is just to the north as well.
True, yeah, that's a good,
there are some breweries up here.
Yeah.
So,
but there's like, there's a Menards that I go to all the time, for the cabin, and just a ton of amenities.
All the super Targets.
Yep, and right over here is Central Avenue as well, which is what we mentioned. A little bit hustle and bustle, a little bit hectic, a little bit, I don't know, unsightly at times, but
older part of the city.
Yeah, but all right, that's it for Blaine. Appreciate it. Say hey to Nick in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.